Welcome to Harbor Time Strategy Talks. I'm your host, Colin Harbor. Harbor Time Strategy Talks is a podcast designed to explore a variety of business strategy topics and a place to hear practical tips for building and implementing sound business strategies. It is a production of Sea Harbor Services. You can find us at collinharbor.com. That is COLLINHARBOUR.com. I am happy to discuss business strategy with you any day, anytime. And now, it's Harbor Time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Harbor Time Strategy Talks. I'm your host, Colin Harbor, and today is July 28th, 2020. That's right, it's still 2020, and we cannot avoid that for another 5 months. So we're all in this together, and let's really focus on the positive things we can do to end this year. I've been in client relations and business development all of my professional career in one form or another. And, there's always been different ideas about how to maintain your clients, how to keep your clients happy, and so forth. At one of the previous companies I was at, we had a very robust machine on getting gifts out to clients. A lot of it was candy and popcorn, and it was really, really good stuff, though. It made them think about us. It made other people in their department think about us. But we had a couple of instances where we sent out gifts, for instance, a candy jar, and it showed up with broken glass. And the clients would text us pictures and say, jokingly, I think, hey, are you trying to kill us, sending this broken glass, and so forth. But I think myself, as well as most of us, have probably gotten away from the personal touch. Even with the robust machine that I mentioned, there wasn't a lot of personal touch to it. It was just, hey, our marketing person made sure everything went out. If we heard anything negative, we'd let them know. So I think the fact that we've gotten away from the personal touch makes our guest today and her company so relevant. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Jamie Shibley. She's the founder and CEO of the Expressory. And the Expressory focuses on client retention. We'll let her talk a little bit about herself in a minute, but I've gotten to know her over the last couple of weeks. We've met a few times, talked about different ideas, and I'm really glad we could be on the show. Thank you for joining us, Jamie.
Hi, thanks for having me, Colin. I appreciate it.
You bet. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the Expressory? What is the Expressory, and what do you do?
Yeah. So at the Expressory, we're your relationship building concierge. So what we do is we help business leaders and people in positions of influence really get more people talking about them and to them. And we do that through creating these customer experiences that really create that loyalty. And it's long lasting.
Yeah, that sounds great. The customer experience is very important. I've recently had a horrible customer experience when trying to buy a computer. I won't mention the company's name, but I think just whether it's B2C or B2B, which I think we're talking about a lot here, the customer experience is key. So what are you seeing happening from a relationship standpoint these days in 2020?
Yeah, well, you start the show with we're in 2020, and I think forever, whenever you say 2020, people are just going to get it, right? Like what we've experienced. And what I've seen, I was actually about 9 months ago, I started having this talk. I started doing this talking about what's happening in this digital age that we were living in, and then COVID hit. And what I see is that business owners have now just realized that we have a gap in our relationship building efforts. You've probably experienced it. I mean, we're stuck. We're on video calls now, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a difference when you're not in the room together. You don't have when you're face to face, there's that warmth. There is that feeling of a much more high touch that's going to create that long lasting relationship. And now those opportunities are gone. And so clearly my business really picked up during this time because people were realizing, how else am I going to get in front of people
Sure.
and show them, acknowledge them, show that I'm still here. And so that's what we're working with right now.
Okay. Well, that's great. So I guess the main question is, I know I'm probably not, but are we collectively winning the relationship retention battle? Sounds like we might not be.
Well, we weren't before COVID. And I think clearly COVID, things have gotten worse before they're going to get better. But I suspect that this might be one of the changes, the new habits that a lot of us get into that won't go back to the way it was before, because we realize as small businesses or smaller businesses, we're going to have an opportunity over the big players in this space because we can really show up and be more personal with our customers and the people we're trying to win relationships with. Before COVID, there's research that shows, this, we're living in such a digital time and we're overwhelmed with all the information, everything coming at us. It got worse with COVID. And so we stop doing these personal touches because we're overwhelmed as it is. So we think because we're speaking to the masses, we're winning, right? We're out there in social media and stuff. But the problem is it's not going deep enough and it's not lasting enough. And so HubSpot was telling us, 9 months ago that businesses are losing on average 20% of their database simply because they're failing to connect. Every year this is happening. 20% of your database is gone because you're not doing enough to create those relationships and have those personal touches with your database.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you lose 20% of your database, if you lose 20% of your customers and you're not adding at least 20% new customers, I think it goes without saying
Right.
what's happening
Losing.
to the business there, right?
Right.
Tell us a little bit. I know you and I had talked about, and I was just going over some of my notes here, and I don't mean to get us too far off track. I think, talk a little bit about the customer journey. How can we relate to the customer in their journey, whether it's a B2B or B2C type customer these days?
Yeah, great. We all have one. So, good question. What I want people to think about is, in business, you all have a customer journey. There's stuff that happens as you're working to build the relationship during prospecting before they even become a customer. There's stuff that happens as they become a customer and through the course of them working with you, right? And what I want people to see are there are opportunities in there to build in these personal touch points. And so if you look at events that happen throughout that time, what are the different things that you could use as triggers to get back in front of those customers? So, or just in front of your contacts in general, okay? Before they're a customer, what are you doing to show up for people who have sent you referrals? How are you showing up in front of people that you consider to be prospects? You want a meeting with them. Those are opportunities. Now, when they become a customer, there are events that happen that the customer is in control of. Like, when's their birthday? When's the anniversary of when they became a customer? These are touch points for you that you could use to get in front of them. What about when they hit a milestone that is a result of working with your product or service?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when they work with you, what are they working toward? When they hit that milestone, show up in front of them in some way, celebrate it.
Mm-hmm.
That is lasting gold right there. And so then these are the way we look at your opportunities. And as a business, right? What if you're launching, what if you're becoming an author? What if you, Colin, as you became a podcaster, you could use that to get in front of them, like
Mm-hmm.
the announcement phase, right? So there's all these little touch points we want you to think about that you could be using.
Sure. Great. Thank you. So do you have any examples of people that are doing what we're talking about? Any examples that come to mind, suggestions or recommendations? Just really, they're obviously your company focuses on this. You've got clients and you've heard of others who are doing it. Who's doing this well? What's working?
Yeah, there are a few examples of it working well. One of the first things we always tell people they should be looking at is that referral program. So when someone sends you referrals, what are you doing? How are you thanking them? And are you doing it consistently? So if they send you multiple referrals, are you thanking them each and every time? You should be, because it's this pattern of what gets rewarded gets repeated. And so you get people in the habit of, wow, I sent them a referral. That was really cool what they sent me. um, I got somebody else, and so it starts to build, and that's your engine that can fund other things. So one example of somebody doing that well, I heard an interview with Sticker Giant. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're a
I
big
have not.
company. They're a really big company. Um, what they shared is that they've built a practice of surprising referrals and thanking them. And in any given month, they might thank 45 different people for sending them a referral. So think about the noise you could generate with thanking and surprising 45 referrals in your business. And what would those referrals alone mean for your business, right?
Yeah, the referrals would be great. And then I'm thinking about some of the what we're talking about earlier with the digital. We're all trying to get everybody's attention. We're all competing with Netflix and other things in people's personal lives, online school if they have children. And then just imagine if they get a thank you from a client that they referred business to, even if the business didn't work out. What about that? Do you recommend referrals if the business doesn't work out?
Yeah, at least a thank
Or
you
thank yous?
anyway, right? Right. So what we typically say is, you can do a thank you the moment the person sends you the referral, and then you can do a gift if the person signs, or you can wait and do it all at once. But even the gesture of, hey, thanks for thinking of me goes a long way these days. Because think about what's showing up in your actual physical mailbox anymore. Not as much as what's showing up in your email box, right? It's it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think again, this isn't something we've talked about, but to me, the positivity, the positive vibes that a thank you sends out, particularly in July 2020, given the all you have to do is turn on a news channel, all you have to do is go to almost any online platform, and you're going to get negative, negative, negative vibes. The
You bet.
positive vibes of a thank you, I think, can go a long way.
Well, okay, and the whole positive thing, right? This is what I've been coaching a lot of people on. A lot of people are saying, "How can I? I'm really in this bad mood. How can I get on it? Get out of it?" If you took out some cards and a pen, and you sat when you're feeling that way, and you sat down and you wrote 5 acknowledgments. Find 5 people in your circle that you just want to say, I see you. I see, I believe in you. Congratulations. When you send out the positive, it shifts you. And so you are absolutely right. Now that positive message shows up in someone's mailbox. Having a physical piece of mail, there's actual science that says physical mail pieces trigger the part in the brain associated with emotions. So your positive message triggered my emotions about how I feel about having this. And you and I now have this positive thinking about you, right? Like there's your loyalty.
Sure. That is great, and this is great information. I think as we kind of wind it down here, I know you and I talked. I've gone a little bit longer the last
Yeah.
few weeks, and definitely want to give our listeners, some succinct content, if you will, which I think we've done today. But how can people make it easier on themselves to maintain or to do this type of
To manage
program?
that. Yeah. So what I suggest is sit down now, find at least 1 or 2 of those events in your customer journey that you want to start using to build the relationships. And then sit down and write out the message. So if it's that referral, what is the message you're going to send every time someone sends you a referral? Because if you write it down now, it's one less thing you have to think about when it happens. And then you can just sit and repeat and do that all day long. That is one of the biggest steps that hold people up. The minute I have to put too much thought into it and figure it out, I don't do it until it's too late. The moment has passed. So do yourself that favor, spend 5 minutes writing it down today, and then pull it out and execute every time.
Okay, just that makes it real easy in the future, right? If you set
Mm-hmm.
aside time now to do it.
Yeah.
What about, I mean, obviously you've got a company. This isn't necessarily an advertising platform, but I do want to give you a chance to talk a little bit more about the Expressory. I mean, even obviously people can find you on LinkedIn and other
Yeah.
platforms. And, you know, if you can maybe mention your website or what's the best way to contact you, and a little bit
Yeah.
more about how you help specifically customers do this.
Yeah, thank you. So our service is basically we'll help you design and execute those things. And so we're going to figure out what's the thing you send for each of the occasions that you're interested in. We'll give you a price to execute that, and then do that all day long for you. There's no minimums, that sort of thing. And listen, we are happy to help. Just have the brainstorming, the strategy session. So if you're interested in getting more ideas specific to your brand, creatively, how do you build those relationships and show up in front of people? I can help take you through that customer journey on our
The link
website.
is bit.ly-te journey. Again, that's bit.ly/te journey.
And you can find a little bit more about that.
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, Jamie, I certainly appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed our conversation over the last week, our conversations and our back and forth. I've learned a
Yeah.
lot about you and your company. I've learned a lot about client retention, the importance of it. And I do think it's more than just thanking somebody on LinkedIn, right? Though that
Yeah.
could be part of it. We're talking about more of a personal touch. We're talking about things that can tie your clients and customers to you longer,
Yeah.
which converts to more revenue, could convert to more leads, things that business owners and all companies need today. So I certainly appreciate it. And,
Thanks for
you
having
know,
me.
what's that?
I said thanks for having
Oh
me.
yeah,
It's been
sure.
great.
In conclusion, I hope this was good information for everybody. Like I said, over the last couple of weeks and getting to know Jamie and her company, it's really meant a lot to me and impacted me and made me think about things that I've done in the past to retain clients, the ones that didn't work as well, the ones that do work, and learned a lot about just like I said, the personal touch and how you can retain clients. So thanks a lot for listening to Harbor Time Strategy Talks, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.